Do we get to choose our own reality? To choose our own technological constraints? Could we have decided as a society to not use the invention of the car and every other thing that it brought us? Or is incremental improvement somehow inevitable? That it improved on what existed before in such a way that would make it largely irresistible. Since I finished the DIY writing technique video, I've had that thought running through my head, but also a second thought that may seem unrelated. It would be fun to be a morning person. Like, I've never been a morning person, and I don't mean begrudgingly waking up with cold showers or something. This is not another cold shower video, but for there to be some moment of the day early on that I was so excitedly looking forward to that alone would push me out of slumber. So I'm combining these two ideas in the dumbest way possible, as is the trend on this channel. My version of waking up with a cold shower, I guess, is taking this radio over here, made by the Panasonic Corporation in the 1970s, and turning it into this like retro futuristic Blade Runner inspired wake up channel. Oh, it's also a TV. And the channel is going to be like from myself to myself. I have no idea why this thing was made. So I'm going to assume that the exact purpose the designer had in mind was this project. I'm going to be replacing my current white noise machine, which I kind of like and is... When I got it, it was like super broken. I soldered it back together and got like the surf sounds working on it again. So it's like hard to part with, but I want to try something else. So I'm going to replace my current white noise machine with this. And then after that station, whatever message I record for the next day after, before I take in any new information from the world. So I see this as an opportunity to replace my phone's alarm and all of the immediate distractions and associated habits with something a little bit more intentional. I'll need a few things. I need a way of recording these. I just want to be able to like hit a button and then for a maximum of 30 seconds, record. And whatever that is, it'll be saved as the next entry to play automatically after the sleepy playlist. Two, I need the sleepy playlist. What I'm going to do is for each day of the week, make a different 8-hour or so video collage. I'm going to use like a vector scope. And then on top of that, I have a bunch of field recordings that I've taken of rain, like city noise and traffic. So I'm going to use that as kind of like the sound bed for each night. And because I have different things going on each day, the corresponding videos and sound will hopefully put me subconsciously in the mode to engage in like a Monday or a Tuesday and the kinds of work that I do on those days. I need some way of delivering this signal wirelessly. I also want to measure and judge whether or not I'm actually enjoying this and if it's changing my habits or not. Here is my sleep wake schedule from the last month. It's pretty stable, but if you look at it, you'll see it's shifted like 3 hours from where I want it to be. Habits usually take a month or so to become stable, for me at least, but I think the first week of this experiment should reveal whether or not it's going to work. Oh yeah, and I also bought, because I was like really worried about if this video became successful at all, that like these things would go from like $20 each to like $200 each. So I bought them all up and I'm going to give them out for free, and I'll like include something after about how to get one for free. Cool. If you want to do this yourself. I need to get up early so that I can write. And as important as this piece of technology, I think, is going to be as like a little bit of a lure or bait for me, I think it's also a little bit about the mental shift that I'm gonna have to make and the evening habit around getting into bed by a certain time. I also want to know what I have coming up the next day, so I need a cute way of displaying that. I want to pull it from my calendar is my instinct, but again, instead of solving this problem, I think what I'm gonna do is instead just read off the previous night what I have coming up the next day, instead of automating it as a way to maybe engage me more with the work coming up and then help prime me. I can also remind myself of the like question that I ended the previous workday on as a way of connecting those two periods. This should have the effect of locking me into the wake up time because I'm not going to want to miss that greeting. I think what's essential about this approach is that it's customized to me. I used the same theme discussed in the last video, a DIY approach to writing, in that I entered this like fantasy, really imagined something, and then following a Sol LeWitt aphorism, took it to its logical or illogical conclusion without deviation. So how am I going to build this thing? So what I need to do is to buy two things which I already bought, which was a broadcaster right here. So this is an like HDMI RF modulator. Also bought this antenna for it because I don't know if I'll need it, but I thought it'd be kind of cute to have like a little antenna. I also need the Raspberry Pi, which I already had to have a Raspberry Pi 4. The Raspberry Pi 4 looks like this. It just looks like a keyboard. I think a Raspberry Pi 3B or anything else that has like HDMI or even composite out would work just fine. Here, it's working just from my MacBook as I tested it. Okay, time to try this out for a week.
Good morning. It's Sunday morning at 5 a.m. This is your weekend podcast. Hey, it's 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Day number 2. Get out of bed. Remove specifics. This is your make of you. Exercising your day off, you actually scheduled a haircut for 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's 5 a.m. and we're waking up. You're gonna take a shower.
All right, it's 1 week later. Hi. My daily wake time has shifted from 8:30 a.m. to 5:45 a.m. for the first time in my life. I've also evaluated subjectively how excited I was to wake up, how scary it was to hear myself deliver the future news, and around how productive and fun the day was. I think people naturally try to accomplish this with other methods that are maybe a little bit less baroque, like manual alarm clocks, setting an evening attention, ending the day on unfinished work or a big problem. People have been using these techniques throughout history. I'm right now working on a website where you can also tune in every evening to be woken up by me in the morning if you want. I'm also using an ASCII-fied stream to keep it really low bandwidth and to give some gesture at the wash of noise that I hear and see every night when I go to sleep. I wasn't expecting, there are a lot of things about this project I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting it to work, definitely. That was not something I was expecting. I didn't really fully anticipate that because it's over the radio and it's like detuned and not, like has so much noise, that the sound of that would actually be like really nice. Like I think even if I didn't have a station, I was just listening to like the CRT or the radio that like out of tune, that actually would be like really nice, especially as you like hear, I don't know, like you hear stuff in the noise. It's like numbers, stations and stuff that are like kind of like sometimes being picked up. What I can't overstate though, like even if this failed, was I think the importance of picking our own technologies and really being aware of what our options for life really are. For me, this makes it clear every morning that I wake up just how far I can begin to go. To some, it may not seem extreme. It may seem a little bit more subtle. It's an old CRT that flips around a bit with some intentionality on the back end, right? Or whatever. But to me, it's much more striking than that. It's making space for what I want this world to look like and how I want to feel inside of it, and following an aesthetic desire to its conclusion, no matter how illogical or silly it might look to others. This desire to customize my life and to take ownership of all of the small decisions and to slowly build out and experiment with ways of living in the constraints of the world. Where do we have opportunities to choose around technologies and adventures? Okay, so I've also purchased, like I mentioned at the start, I purchased another 20 of these on eBay so that the price didn't go up too much after this video. If you want to buy one from me, you actually can't. I'm not going to sell them. I did want to give them away to like Patreon subs. That was like the idea I had when I first got them. But I don't know if this is true, but there's something about that that's really gross to me. Like I don't want people to join a Patreon just to get like a CRT or something like that. So really, like, all you have to do is message me and ask for one. Like, leave a comment here, whatever you want. I'll figure out a way of mailing it to you. You don't have to pay for anything. And if you need help setting it up with your own sort of like nightly haunting, I'm more than happy to help you. I have a lot more documentation about all of this. The code for the stuff that needed code, the Ask If I'd Stream, all that will be on the Patreon, just because like the algorithm would like totally